Maxwell is currently conducting a coordinated campaign, one aimed at rewriting history in a bold and captivating way. From prison, through surprise interviews, she is making attention-grabbing statements. After years of silence and speculation, an unexpected name is now creating a storm of public opinion, stealing the spotlight. From behind bars, Ghislaine Maxwell is said to be speaking out, and the impact of her words is spreading to royal observers everywhere. Whispers about correspondence, conversations, and long-buried secrets are sparking heated debates, with both supporters and critics bracing for the consequences. Sources hint at serious repercussions, although there has been no official response from the palace. A summary has been prepared, but the question remains, is this a genuine revelation, a clever tactic, or just tabloid sensationalism? Specifically, what are these statements, who will benefit, and why is this moment so tense? Could this be a devastating shock for Meghan? Now, all attention is back on Maxwell, with shocking revelations unfolding like a dramatic mystery, built around high-profile and sensational elements. Rumors surrounding Ghislaine Maxwell and the shadows surrounding the Jeffrey Epstein case are painting a complex picture where crucial details are believed to have been withheld for years after being sealed. Court records, lost audio recordings, and documents only released after intense censorship have fallen into public hands in chunk. But even if Epstein was involved, many crucial parts have been removed, leaving unanswered questions. Among those removed are interviews lasting up to 12 hours directly involving Maxwell, information deemed so sensitive it could alter the entire narrative. What is most striking in the leaked statements is Maxwell's mention of Meghan Markle's name, not only in relation to her entry into royal life, but also opening up a high society setting where the wealthy and powerful meet, and young women are often introduced to influential figures. According to those supposedly familiar with the interviews, Maxwell sometimes uses coded language when referring to people, either to protect their identities or to downplay their significance, and Meghan is referred to by the nickname Flower, symbolizing grace, beauty, and innocence within a privileged social environment. Supporters of this theory suggest that Maxwell applies a similar pattern to many other women, allowing them to move freely through high society gatherings without attracting attention. However, the passage repeatedly emphasizes the lack of direct public evidence to confirm this, creating an air of mystery and irresistible allure. The story also mentions Virginia Giuffre, one of the prominent survivors of the Epstein case, suggesting that Meghan may have known about the events or individuals involved. Although this is merely Giuffre's impression, not proven fact. The emergence of hidden details, Prince Andrew's unexpected settlement, and related legal decisions are all depicted as moves influencing the public disclosure of testimony, adding layers of doubt and debate. Throughout the passage, the tone remains cautious yet provocative. The sensational but unverified allegations, largely based on anonymous sources, incomplete documentation, and altered recordings, mean that the absence of full evidence does not prevent widespread speculation and discussion. Each time a missing record or sealed document is mentioned, it becomes a reason for many to believe that the entire story was never told in its entirety, raising further unanswered questions and heightening public curiosity, while creating a lasting sense of suspense throughout the entire narrative. Ultimately, the passage offers no clear conclusion. Instead, it leaves the reader with a multitude of unanswered questions, creating a sense of incompleteness. By emphasizing secrecy, allegations of omitted information, and the avoidance of direct testimony, the passage suggests that certain connections have never been fully explored publicly. Whether these hints point to meaningful truth or are merely the result of rumor and imagination, the mystery itself is compelling. The story's appeal lies not in proving anything, but in its ability to generate curiosity, highlighting silence, absence, and uncertainty. It invites the reader to question the extent to which power, wealth, and status can influence justice and transparency. At the same time, it serves as a reminder that speculation easily arises when official records remain incomplete. In this context, the story is not just about events, but also about public trust and the mystery surrounding individuals who have only recently risen to prominence. So where did Maxwell find Meghan? And how? Had they met before? To understand this, we need to go back in time, uncovering layers of the story, starting from the years before crowns, palaces, balconies, or the bells of royal weddings. Imagine 2000, when Jeffrey Epstein was not yet a name that sent shivers down the spines of the entire globe. At that time, he was seen as elegant, powerful, and discreet, easily entering the most privileged social circles, where the wealthy and influential socialized. According to close sources, it was Prince Andrew who opened these doors, allowing Epstein access to the royal quarters at Ascot, one of the most elite spaces in British society, where only the chosen few are accepted. Epstein was not merely a guest, but seemed to have been welcomed as an acknowledged member. In this context, Ghislaine Maxwell operated subtly, effortlessly captivating the crowd, while Sarah Ferguson remained present, maintaining a quiet influence despite her divorce from Andrew. Epstein, in contrast to his prominent role, was said to move within these spaces as if he belonged there, attending private meetings, traveling, dining with Andrew, and blending into tightly controlled social events. These were not chance encounters, but a meticulously designed series of activities where discretion was as important as status. Ferguson, though no longer Andrew's wife, was believed to remain central, building networks and controlling who should meet whom and who should not appear together, through subtle social gestures rather than overt ones. It was precisely this tactic that surprised many when Fergie later claimed she had never met Meghan until she began dating Prince Harry. In reality, according to accounts, Meghan wasn't a complete stranger suddenly entering the royal family. She hovered on the periphery, known but almost invisible, present but not fully acknowledged. Some sources suggest Ferguson had known her for a long time, orchestrating meetings to prevent any meaningful connection between Meghan and Prince Andrew, thus limiting the possibility of any scandal. This was a subtle, quiet, yet highly effective form of social control, designed to protect the reputation, power, and stability of the elite. If Ghislaine Maxwell's later statements about recruitment and training had any basis in fact, Ferguson's wary instincts might have been at their highest, prompting her to set clear boundaries and maintain a cautious outlook. However, Meghan wasn't completely excluded. She continued to mingle with London's elite, frequenting exclusive spaces, exclusive members' clubs, and prominent charity parties and events where wealth, power, and ambition intersected. She was close enough to feel its allure, yet far enough to avoid excessive scrutiny. This raises the question, was Ferguson truly aware of Meghan more than what was publicly known? And if so, since when? Was Meghan exposed to royal life before the world realized it? If the timeline begins earlier than the official romance that debuted in 2016, then her journey was neither sudden nor accidental. Instead, it may be the result of years of navigating the trials of a glamorous yet dangerous society, the same corridors that welcomed Epstein and Maxwell. Through this lens, Meghan's journey is no longer simply a chance romance, but a testament to careful positioning, patience, and survival skills within elite spaces brimming with both opportunity and risk. At the heart of it all is Ferguson, the silent gatekeeper, keeping secrets known only to her. The big question remains, how much does Ferguson know, and how? Can Meghan, with such a past, truly rise within the royal family without completely erasing her past? The story becomes clearer when looking at Meghan's strategic moves, from discreet clubs to the global stage. In April 2015, Prince Harry attended the opening of the Soho House branch in Istanbul, an exclusive event combining wealth, power, and royal influence. Meghan was one of the meticulously chosen guests, present as a key figure in the initial stages of her rise to prominence. Unlike ordinary parties, events at Soho House were incredibly carefully planned. Guest lists, seating arrangements, timings, and introductions were all meticulously planned to maximize connections and opportunities. Here, CEOs, celebrities, politicians, and even Prince Charles mingled with the crowd, creating an environment where a well-timed conversation could open seemingly closed doors. Observers noted that Meghan's encounter with Harry there was no coincidence. This moment was orchestrated, marking the beginning of her global journey, preparing her for future prominence and royal status. Her image at Soho changed almost immediately. Invitations to exclusive groups multiplied, relationships with powerful people became clearer, while her rise to power seemed smooth, timely, and almost perfect. An insider later remarked, "She didn't get there by chance. Meghan was ushered straight through the front door." This fact only fuels the question many still whisper today. Who shaped that moment in Istanbul? Who decided which faces were there and who were left out? And why do certain social and charitable networks repeatedly appear, linked to powerful and controversial figures? Meghan's journey, viewed from this perspective, is a story of choice, strategy, and the ability to subtly integrate while maintaining independence and security in a harsh yet opportunity-filled environment. To understand the allure surrounding this story, some observers have traced it further back, going back to New York in 2013. According to numerous unofficial sources, Meghan appeared at private gatherings of the city's elite. These weren't auditions or typical networking events. They were invitation-only meetings where media executives, political activists, wealthy donors, and influential figures exchanged ideas, built relationships, and shaped power behind the scenes. At that time, names like Harvey Weinstein were still strongly present in these spaces. Attendees weren't passers-by. They were actively building positions, connections, and lasting influence. Then, in 2014, another moment captured public attention. Meghan appeared at a public Q&A session in Ukraine, an event believed to be linked to organizations connected to the Clinton network. It's worth noting that this period was before her role in Suits propelled her to fame, and long before any public connection with Prince Harry. Nevertheless, Meghan was present in spaces typically reserved for seasoned politicians and prominent figures in international philanthropy. To skeptics, this suggests early access to power. To supporters, it's a manifestation of ambition, curiosity, and a desire to broaden her horizons. Regardless of how it's viewed, her presence was striking and unusual. The debate intensified when allegations surrounding Ghislaine Maxwell were once again brought up publicly. According to some unverified claims, Epstein-linked funds allegedly flowed into global humanitarian activities, including initiatives linked to the Clinton family. These claims remain controversial, but their very existence fuels speculation. If shady financial flows once circulated through respectable charitable channels, then influence, referrals, and access can also quietly move in parallel within that same context. From this perspective, Meghan's rapid entry into elite humanitarian and political spaces after Istanbul seems unsurprising. According to several insiders, doors that were rarely opened began to open. Invitations came faster, platforms expanded, and her relationship with Prince Harry quickly deepened, reinforcing the feeling that the groundwork had been laid long before the public knew about their love story. All of this doesn't prove that a secret hand was pulling the strings. But for those familiar with the workings of high society networks, this picture is all too familiar. Power rarely operates randomly. It flows through relationships, controlled referrals, and doors that are only open to certain people. From that perspective, Meghan's rise looks more like a timely entry into the system than a stroke of luck. Preparation met opportunity and yielded rewards. And the questions remain, refusing to fade. In a world where influence is currency and access is everything, who opened those doors and who dictated the timing? How did Meghan navigate them without being held back by the past? Was there a silent protection at play? Let's continue to peel back the layers to find the answers. The gatekeepers and invisible layers of protection. When Meghan entered royal life, her public image quickly changed. She appeared more polished, more confident, and seemingly unshakable. While the world witnessed a seemingly smooth transition, whispers within the palace circulated about a silent protective shield surrounding her. Even during a period when her acting career was no longer booming, Meghan showed no signs of wavering or being lost, as if a subtle force was always pushing her forward. Some observers suggest this protection existed long before the royal marriage. In high society and legal circles, Unanswered questions surrounding the Maxwell affair, particularly the sealed and edited details, continued to simmer. The prevailing view isn't that Meghan was directly protected, but rather that influential figures who supported her early career were also part of self-protective systems. Internal speculation suggests that if forced to speak out, the story could expand far beyond what the public record reveals. These theories, while unverified, are often used to explain Meghan's rapid rise into the royal family, the almost instantaneous global humanitarian image she cultivated, and the unexpected network of allies who continue to stand by her side. To some longtime observers, Meghan is seen as someone who knows enough for her silence to hold its own value. This silence, in turn, has become a sensitive issue within the royal family. According to accounts, this concern particularly affected Prince William. As the man seen as the guardian of the monarchy's future, he is believed to be extremely cautious about anything that could reopen old wounds or create a new spiral of controversy. Even before the family disagreements erupted publicly, William was reportedly staunchly opposed to Harry and Meghan returning to royal roles. For him, it wasn't a personal matter, but an institutional risk. A frequently recounted story concerns a tense moment at Balmoral, when Prince Andrew was reportedly seeking a prominent role at an event. According to oral accounts, William drew a clear line, forcing Andrew to back down. They emphasized that this wasn't a matter of rivalry or pride, but rather a concern that any indirect connection to controversial past events could shake the already fragile foundations of the crown. From this perspective, William's criticisms and firm stance in the media take on a different meaning. For his supporters, it wasn't family coldness, but a determination to avoid figures and stories that could become the focus of controversy. Their goal, they believed, was to protect the long-term survival of the institution he was destined to lead. And then the story takes a turn for what is considered the most intriguing piece of the puzzle. Not in a courtroom or palace corridor, but on a luxurious yacht gliding gently on turquoise waters, years before Meghan became famous. According to accounts from old social circles, that yacht was described as a strange intersection where power brokers, ambitious figures, and new faces blended naturally. There, relationships were formed, futures were redrawn, sometimes in a single evening. Whether Meghan's presence there was prearranged, intentional, or merely coincidental, remains unconfirmed. What these stories all agree on is that it wasn't the end, but the beginning. From that moment, the supposed path opened, leading through secret gatherings in New York, murky networks in London, lavish events in Istanbul, and ultimately, life alongside a prince. At the heart of all speculation remains the question surrounding the lengthy interviews involving Maxwell, rumored to contain names, timelines, and connections that could trace the journey from obscurity to influence. These, if they exist, are not described as evidence of personal wrongdoing, but as signs of a system that knows how to prop itself up and protect itself. And until further clarity emerges, the story remains open, like the first chapter of a detective novel, suggesting that the real revelation is yet to come, waiting to be discovered little by little. Let's delve into the often overlooked details of investigations prior to the Epstein scandal. Long before Jeffrey Epstein became the focus of global attention, there were early, quiet, but disturbing warning signs. In Palm Beach, in 2001, a discreet investigation began to take shape, not directly targeting Epstein, but focusing on those believed to be close to him, including Ghislaine Maxwell. Local police received numerous disjointed reports from female students attending nearby universities. They reported being approached with offers of unusually high-paying jobs at Epstein's home. According to documents later released by the U.S. Department of Justice, Maxwell was allegedly the recruiter, offering jobs described as simple, such as answering the phone or handling administrative paperwork. However, the salary of around $200 a day was puzzling to many, as it far exceeded the average for basic office jobs. Despite receiving suspicious reports, police at the time struggled to determine what was actually happening inside the house. The place was described as closed, private, and almost impenetrable from the outside. Several students reported being contacted directly by a woman with an English accent, who introduced herself as Maxwell. This woman was said to be particularly interested in young, attractive, unmarried women. One student later recalled phone calls that felt unusual, seemingly revolving around arranging the presence of specific girls for meetings, sounding more like appointments than work schedules. Other students shared similar unease. They said Epstein and Maxwell were very secretive, avoiding clear explanations about the nature of their work. At least 2 young women went a step further by reporting to police that Epstein had approached them in ways that made them feel unsafe and violated their personal boundaries. While these complaints weren't enough to warrant immediate criminal charges, they painted a disturbing picture of inappropriate behavior and blurred boundaries. The students also told police that Maxwell seemed particularly focused on compiling a list of girls who could be called in at short notice. This struck officers as unusual, especially given the described tasks were purely administrative. The investigation, however, was repeatedly hampered. Some of those involved became difficult to contact. Interviews were interrupted, and gathering evidence proved challenging. Nevertheless, police continued to dig deeper. They examined waste collected from the residents, and the materials found only increased their concerns. Among the items were massage parlor advertisements, handwritten lists listing women's names, ages, and physical descriptions, and business records related to Epstein and Maxwell. While individual items alone were insufficient to constitute a crime, when put together, they formed a chain of clues that authorities could not ignore. Alongside these were accounts from neighbors of strange occurrences around the house. They reported seeing naked women near the pool and seemingly regular massage activities. However, many also emphasized that they had not directly witnessed any clearly identifiable illegal activity. The line between the feeling that something was amiss and concrete legal evidence remained frustratingly thin. In April 2002, after months of investigation, Palm Beach police closed the case. The conclusion was quite brief. At that time, they found no sufficient grounds for prosecution. The initial investigation gradually faded into oblivion, hardly ever mentioned publicly again. That silence only truly ended in 2005, when a new, far more serious accusation emerged. This time, the focus was on an accusation involving a 14-year-old girl. New details not only revived old questions, but also led to broader investigations, ultimately attracting nationwide attention. In retrospect, the chain of events exposed a series of missed opportunities, controversial decisions, and warning signs that had been present early on but were not properly addressed. In 2007, Jeffrey Epstein reached a highly controversial non-prosecution agreement, allowing him to avoid serious federal charges. As a result, Epstein served only about 13 months in prison, a sentence that years later was described as incredibly lenient, especially given the charges against him. In 2019, federal prosecutors once again indicted Epstein, raising hopes that justice would finally be served. However, the case never went to trial. Epstein died while in custody, leaving a host of unanswered questions and a sense of incompleteness for the public. Ghislaine Maxwell's legal path took a different turn. Arrested in 2020, she was tried and convicted in 2021 on multiple charges related to human trafficking. Currently, Maxwell is serving a 20-year prison sentence, becoming the only surviving central figure in the network that once surrounded Epstein. Looking back today, the 2001 police report no longer resembles a dead-end investigation. It's more like the opening chapter of a story the world will later regret not paying enough attention to sooner. The initial signs, once overlooked or underestimated, now carry a completely different meaning within the larger picture. So what do you think about the revelations concerning Maxwell? Do you think the characters who appeared on the sidelines of this story can continue to remain unaffected? We'd love to hear your perspective. Share your thoughts in the comments below, and don't forget to like and subscribe to the channel for more analysis.